The movie's action kicks off on July 4th, 1978, in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, at the Frisbee Dog Championship. David Freeman, 12, and his 8-year-old brother Jeff, who laughs at David's dog Bruiser for not winning the competition, corral. The boys' parents, Helen and Bill, try to reconcile them, but they continue to insult each other. The Freeman family comes home and Jeff plays with his friends. When it gets dark, Helen asks David to take his brother as he is too young to walk through the woods on his own. Reluctant, David refuses, but his mother assures him it won't take long. She says that as a family, they will go out for dinner and watch fireworks. David reluctantly agrees and with Bruiser goes to get Jeff. The dog is excited in the woods, and David sees a strange light in the woods. The boy goes further into the woods and suddenly, Jeff jumps down from a tree, startling David. Irritated, David brushes off his brother and follows Bruiser, who is anxiously barking at the edge of a ravine. When the boy collapses unconscious, David looks into the dark, but he soon recovers and climbs out of the ravine and goes home. But at the doorstep he is met by a totally new woman. Perplexed, David claims he lives here, but the woman doesn't take him seriously. When David runs into the house, he calls for his parents, but he finds another stranger. The couple decides to call the police and soon David is brought to the station, assuming he is lost. After some time, officers discover an old case of a missing 12-year-old boy who suspiciously resembles David. The boy tells the police it's July 1978 when questioned, which really confuses the cops. Officers visit the new home of the Freeman family to explain the facts of the child's disappearance, along with David. Suddenly, the boy sees his parents at the door and runs towards the house, and finds that his parents have changed a lot. Helen and Bill happily take their son in their arms and he falls unconscious. In town, the police find a UFO that crashed into a power line support. They call in Dr. Faraday from NASA and what the researcher sees astounds him. David wakes up in the hospital and his dad asks him where he's been for so long, and the boy is sure that he met Jeff and that's when he came home. Suddenly, the older Jeff enters the room, but David can't believe his eyes. The parents leave them alone, and Jeff apologizes for scaring him in the woods, confessing that he blamed himself for his disappearance. Jeff discusses his quest and discovers that their parents still had faith in a miracle. He also says that it is now 1986, 8 years after that night in the woods. Later, the parents return to the room and inform David that he'll have to stay in the hospital for a couple more days, as doctors want to thoroughly examine him. One night, David wakes up and tells his brother that he hears a voice in his head calling him. Jeff tries to comfort him, telling him that it is only a dream. The following day, an alien spaceship is sent to NASA's base. Specialists discover that the flying spaceship's shell is seamless, making it challenging to access inside. Meanwhile, scientists study David's brain activity and soon they see that the boy's brain is sending a huge stream of information to the computer in binary code and then decoding the blueprints of the flying spaceship. The strange findings of the research are sent to NASA and Dr. Faraday immediately goes to the Freemans and requests to take the boy for further examination. Bill isn't about to let his son be a guinea pig, but Faraday won't give up. Well, I'm sorry you don't want to know the truth. Then he asks David if he wants to know where he's been, why he can't remember anything, and why he hasn't changed a bit, and he offers to spend only 48 hours at NASA's research center. After a few seconds of contemplation, David agrees. He is taken to the base and put in a room with toys. Then, an intern named Carolyn Madams comes in and shows him a robot that delivers food and various items. David asks why they don't air his favorite program on TV anymore, but Carolyn says it's been a long time since that. He also watches music videos for the first time and surprises Carolyn, who has no idea what happened to him. The girl then asks him what happened to him, but David is confused and says that he doesn't remember anything. Carolyn is afraid she is asking too many questions, so she quickly changes the topic, offers to take him something good for breakfast and walks away. The next day, Dr. Faraday allows David to call home to assure his family that he's okay. Then, Faraday and his assistants begin new examinations of the boy, connecting special sensors to his head. The doctor asks what happened to him when he fell in the ravine, and all of the computers begin to malfunction and overload with information. But David can't recall anything. After that, Faraday's colleague calls out to David to say his name and the computer responds before he can even finish. The researchers are amazed at what is happening, and again ask him where he has been for the past 8 years. years. Irritated, David repeats that he doesn't remember, but his brain thinks otherwise. The screen displays information that the boy is on the faraway planet Fawn, 560 light years from Earth. Scientists continue to ask questions and find out that the boy traveled faster than light. David took less than 5 hours to make the trip, but 8 years passed on Earth. Faraday is astonished by the fact that the boy's mind instantly conjures up a star map when he asks him where Fawn is. My God, these are systems that we have never encountered before. The boy watches in fear as this happens, then rips off the sensors and flees. Faraday knows that the boy will have to remain with them for a lot longer than they thought. Carolyn visits David again in the evening with a robot that carries food. David admits he doesn't like it here, but then comforts himself with the thought that he'll be back home tomorrow. But one day Carolyn mistakenly tells them that they will have to keep the boy at the center for at least 5 more days. David panics, but then, unnoticed by the guards who are watching him, David asks the girl to help him get away. David is again woken up in his head at night. Then a robot comes in the room and takes him to a hangar where the mysterious flying spaceship is. Approaching it, suddenly an entrance appears in the seamless shell with stairs leading to him. The boy is surprised and slowly walks in, and the ship's computer speaks to him. David realizes that it's the same voice that has been calling him all this time. The voice tells the boy that his brain contains maps of the stars, and that if he doesn't remember them he will not be able to get back to his planet. Suddenly, security sees an entrance in the impenetrable ship and raises the alarm. Dozens of armed NASA personnel, along with Faraday, storm into the hangar. You want to leave the hostile alien environment? Yes. Then the ship comes out of its restraints, opens the gates and gets ready to go back to Fawn, but the boy stops it and requests to take him home. However, the computer doesn't know the route and awaits David's instructions. The boy is stunned and suggests to fly about 20 miles from the base, but the computer reads it differently, and they quickly shoot up in front of the amazed spectators. Faraday recommends they go back to the communication room where they can keep track of the ship's position. David tells the computer to come back to Earth and move 20 miles forward, but not up. They stop and David finally asks, "Why did I come here?" The ship's computer was taking biological samples to analyze on Fawn and by mistake selected David. The computer also shows that, based on the hypothesis of the inhabitants of Fawn, humans use only 10% of their brain. For this, it put all its star maps into the boy's brain, but it soon ran into a high voltage power line and lost all its data. Now, without David's assistance, the ship cannot return home and complete its mission. Angry that the ship took him away from home for 8 years, the boy demands to be returned if not to the past, at least to his home. Then suddenly, NASA helicopters fly overhead, and the computer guarantees to send the boy anywhere he wants, once it can get back to its maps. They started their journey, leaving the scientist's view without a trace. Lastly, David asks the robot what it's called, and it introduces itself as Tri-Action Drone Ship. "Okay, I'll call you Max. It's easier." The boy proposes to hide somewhere from the NASA workers, and Max jumps into the sea, startling David. After coming to safety, Max decides to try to get information out of the boy's brain. He opens one of the ship's compartments, where David sees numerous creatures from different planets. David encounters some of the most fearsome and aggressive creatures, but he meets the harmless Pugmarin of the planet Benpuka Minor, which was obliterated by a collision with a comet. The boy then asks Max to take him home. Meanwhile, at NASA, the ship is no longer being detected by the radar. "It's wonderful. We just lost 2 of the most important discoveries of the 20th century." Suddenly, David's father calls Faraday to inquire about his son's well-being, but the doctor doesn't admit that the boy is missing. Lastly, Max pulls out all the information he needs from David's brain, including some irrelevant information, and begins to act like a human. As David and Max start to argue about who is smarter, the disgruntled robot, which has been raised to a height, suggests that the boy figure out how to control it himself. While David nervously looks for levers, the ship goes into free fall. Faraday, who is always watching the ship, realizes that it is out of control and is on a collision course. Fortunately, David presses the right button just in time and the ship takes off. David continues to pilot the ship and realizes that it's not as difficult as he thought. Meanwhile, Carolyn goes to the Freeman family and tells them that David flew away on an alien ship. However, she is immediately found by NASA employees and taken to the center, demanding that she tell the truth about David's escape. Then, one day, David and Max are suddenly taken aback as they find themselves in Tokyo where crowds of enthusiastic fans film them. A few minutes later, they fly over San Francisco. However, after some time, David and Max realize that they are lost somewhere in Texas. They go down and ask a passing car where it is to his hometown of Fort Lauderdale, but the young people drive away in fear. Then Max wonders about the sounds he heard from the people in the car. "It's music," says David, and Max says he wants to hear something like that. The boy suggests picking up one of the radio waves. Meanwhile, on all news channels they discuss the incredible UFO, and researchers see that it is coming back to Florida. David tells Max to go to the nearest gas station and call home, while the locals are amazed at the flying spaceship. Jeff grabs the phone and tells them that there are NASA employees in their house. David tells him that he is close, and asks his brother to tell him where their new house is. But the landmarks are not of any help, and David proposes to send him some signal that can be seen from the air. Jeff assures him that he will think of something and hangs up. They then set off, and soon they reach Fort Lauderdale. Jeff mounts the roof of the house and fires off fireworks, and David and Max notice them, knowing that they are already at home. The boy says goodbye to the robot and says that he was very happy to spend time with the robot. Happy wants to share his adventures with his friends, but he can't help but recall that they have all grown up while he hasn't. Max says that he would give him back 8 years ago if it wasn't too dangerous. The ship approaches the Freeman family's home, but then David, in horror, notices numerous NASA vehicles and realizes that they won't leave him alone. Max opens the exit and David steps outside, but when he sees the frantic researchers, security, and police, he knows he will not have a normal life. "I'm sorry, I don't belong here right now. I love you." After leaving his parents behind, David returns to the spaceship and asks Max to attempt to send him back in time, even though it is dangerous for him to vaporize. Max warns that he may not survive and could turn to dust, but the boy says he has no other choice, as otherwise people from NASA will mock him for the rest of his life. David and Max say goodbye once more, and set off on the perilous journey through time. Then, David awakens in the same ravine where he fell in 1978 and he runs home. Finally, he reunites with his family, who have been waiting for him. The Freemans depart from the pier and go out for dinner, and David suddenly admits his feelings for his parents, the dog, and even his annoying brother. While Helen and Bill decide which restaurant to go to, Poir peeks out of David's backpack. David asks Jeff to keep his eyes closed, but Jeff sees the alien. Meanwhile, Independence Day celebrations go on, and one day during the fireworks, David catches sight of Max in the sky signaling to him and then flying back to Fawn. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, leave a comment about your favorite movie, and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.